Brictopian.
Hello, it's Brictopian here, and today I will be taking a look at the LEGO Ideas Motorized Lighthouse. The set number is 21335. It has 2 minifigures, it has 2065 pieces, it is an 18 plus set, it earns you 2080 VIP points, and the normal retail price for this is £259.99. The height and width and depth of the set is 54 centimeters high by 25 centimeters wide by 25 centimeters deep. I really like this set, and there's a lot to it, and the height of the actual lighthouse section is crazily tall. You can't even get all of this in a video frame, as you can see now, but there is lots to go over, so anyway. In the background of this shot, you can actually see it next to another LEGO Ideas set, which is the Old Fishing Store, which is a 12 plus set. Item number is 21310. It has 2049 pieces, is 32 centimeters high, and has 4 minifigures and originally retailed for £139. The Motorized Lighthouse comes with 13 numbered bags, and all of them are very full of parts, apart from a couple of occasional bags in the middle of the build which are quite small. The highlights of this set to me to build were definitely the rock base with the stairs on, building the boat even though it's mostly one piece, building the roof and the Aurora Point section of the miniature house area, and finishing the garage door elements that go all the way around the top of the main lighthouse section. This set also comes with an amazing brick-built cave that is perfectly curved and includes a small treasure chest inside that can actually be removed. This treasure chest can be opened as well, and inside it includes different coloured gems in red, yellow, green and blue, and it has a leaf to top it off. It is clipped into the main section, so you don't have to worry about it moving around too much, although you have to line it up perfectly. Also inside the cave that you can't really see from here, but it has a bat inside. It has a bat, and it's one of the normal animal piece bats, and it's obviously in black, and it's attached upside down, so it actually looks really good that way, and it makes sense to have it in a cave. And obviously you want to make sure that when you go in here you have a flashlight that works if you're going to plan on sleeping in the cave, because you don't want to end up like you don't want to end up like in the film Castaway, where Tom Hanks leaves his torch on all night and then he has no batteries left. Here's a better look in that cave with a torch shining on it. Now you can see the bat, and also you might notice you can see a little piece of Technic sticking out there, and that is because that is how you turn on the lighthouse and get it to work. As I just said, the staircase was one of the highlights of the build. That is mainly because of this amazing angle that they create, which is almost about 35 degrees, I would say. And that just uses a hinge plate in there, and it is put on top of smooth tiles so that it is not attached down completely to the base. Finding a market for this set was like shooting a fish in a barrel, because so many people love idea sets and they love these sort of rocky rustic type designs. And speaking of which, you get a fish in a barrel which you build in the final bag of the set. On top of the fish, what I have shown you, and the bat in the set, you also get two other animal pieces. You get the seagull piece, which was also used in the Old Fishing Store. You only get one of them though, unlike the Old Fishing Store which had 3. And then you get a small kitten, which is a grey one, and is one of the new style kitten pieces, which they haven't done much in LEGO. I personally would have preferred it if they'd done an orange kitten, and it would have matched the larger cat you get in the Old Fishing Store, but I do still like the inclusion of this new recent cat piece. There are some new colours for this set in pieces that have never been in these colours before, such as the boat, which is in a white colour, which is normally in either red or brown. You also get these leaf elements, which are normally in a normal standard green or a lighter green, but in this case they're in a sand green. This name that says leader on the back of the boat unfortunately is a sticker, but it does look really cool. However, the name Aurora Point, which is on here, which is on a curved tile, is actually a print, and it looks really good, and it matches nicely with the overall nice pointy shape of this section of the roof. I did actually quite like adding the small tiles that decorate the outside of this building. It gives a nice texture and a variety of colour by having them in light tan. There is different sorts of ones here, such as the gold bar pieces and normal 1x1 tiles. The only downside is that these can sometimes move around and not always stay straight or fall off completely. The windows are really nice as they have an outline that is in a dark green colour, and it matches nicely with this lovely brick built dark green door. I think the dark green is really good as a nice contrast to the dark red roof, and I just like dark colour Lego pieces in general. This whole section of the build was really short when building it. It actually surprised me how short it was, but it was still enjoyable, and even down the chimney was good with a little bit of smoke coming out, which uses a small feather piece. You can see you also get a window on this side of the house, and it has actually a arched one, and you even get little shutters on the outside that are tile built. You even get another arch here, which is a smaller one on the roof section. If you look round this side though, you can see there isn't any of that. There's just some masonry bricks, and then there's this big section which is actually for a fireplace. It's also topped off with the leaf section, which is really cool. And one of the huge highlights of this set, which is quite ironic to me, is actually this exposed wire from the power functions. I actually really like it because it looks like it's a vine from this particular leaf. So it blends in perfectly, and the way they managed to fit all of the wire inside of this curved paneling actually is really clever. Speaking of the power functions again, the way you can access the batteries is actually quite simple, unlike a lot of power function based sets, because there is actually this entire rock section that actually removes, and you can unscrew the batteries from there. One of the highlights of the set is definitely the angle of the house itself, because of the fact that it uses a turntable type piece underneath. You can actually get this perfect angle, and it balances it on these tiles, which include the triangular piece ones, which haven't been used in that many sets. And I like how another thing what's really good is actually you'd think that this and this would be completely separate structures, and you'd think they wouldn't be connected, but actually there's actually a walkway straight through the back that goes into the main lighthouse. You can remove the roof, as it is modular, of the little house section, so you can see the details inside. I really like the checkered bed pattern. These are stickers though, this on the wall, which is a shame, but it is a nice nod to the fan designer and his family who visit lighthouses. And also you get a nice greeny coloured fish in there, which is decorational. You get some stove and a teapot. You get a little bottle, which could represent a ship in the bottom of the sea or whatever you want. It's got a clock on the wall, which is actually printed. And then you've got another piece down there, which is another sticker, which represents like waves and things and like a map. You've got a little writing quill in the corner. You've got a cup. And below all this, of course, is actually the fireplace itself, which is what you can use the power functions for. When you turn the power functions on, you can actually see the fireplace inside, which is really cool. And that's just made orange by using plates that are 1x2 size, and it shines through really nicely. From the outside though, it is a little bit dim in my opinion, and that's a bit of a shame. I know this is in a light environment, but even in the dark, the windows are quite small for something that is meant to show the light through. But obviously from the inside perspective, it does look really good. And as I was talking about that walkway through, it's in there and it goes all the way inside this section of the lighthouse. The back panels of the lighthouse can be removed so that you are able to look inside the lighthouse and see the small but fun interior. And these are easy to take off just like this. They are different sizes going up. They're gradually getting smaller because the lighthouse has this shape that goes closer and closer together. I also like how the windows were built. They're really thin and they have a framing that's in the dark brown colour, and you also get these wheel arch pieces in a light tan colour, which look really good. They're the thinner sort of wheel arch covers, and then you just use these triangular tiles to add a little ledge. From here you can see the likes of things such as ladders that go up the side of the lighthouse to get to the very top floor. And if you look a bit higher up, you can also see there's a spanner in there, obviously, to work on the lighthouse and fix it. This ladder is on the opposite side to this one, because what you're supposed to do is go up this side, and then up this side to get all the way to the top, so that you have a platform to stand on when you're on each floor. I'd say the bottom floor is my favourite of the actual lighthouse because it has an axe inside there, which is a nice little detail, and like I said, you can see the walkway through into this section of the lighthouse. The way that this set opens at the back using panels is different to the old fishing store set, where that uses a hinge to actually let you access the back. The lighthouse is relatively plain on the back. One thing I don't like about it is that this leaf sticks out quite far, so if you used to put this right up against the back of a wall, this might stop it actually touching the back of the wall, which is a bit of a shame. I think they should have moved this leaf to here. The lighthouse, the old fishing store, does not have this problem, because it just about fits up against the back of a wall. I also like how the old fishing store has these little canisters and things at the back for extra detail, and this little corner where you can just place minifigures. The lighthouse doesn't really have much space around the back to place minifigures where they could stand. I think both of these sets look good from all angles though, and the lighthouse even looks good from here, where you can see little bits of sand that have gone onto the water, and it also shows that there's a actual anchor here as well, and that is the same as the fact that the old fishing store also has an anchor, but the difference is the anchor on the old fishing store is loose and isn't attached, whereas the anchor on the lighthouse is actually attached down with a clip, so it actually doesn't fall off. And I think that was an improvement over the old fishing store. Here's a better look at the front of the two sets when they are pushed right together. The difference in colour of the water to the sand feels a bit drastic because of how dark the water is. It would normally be a lighter colour blue that transitions, but you could easily put a blue base plate in between to separate them if you wanted these two sets near each other. The colour schemes are obviously very different to each other because this uses a lot of brown to represent the walkway up to the lighthouse, up to the fishing store, whereas this one uses the light grey on top of to walk up from the dark grey rocks. I think the brown looks better than the rocks, but they are obviously for complete different areas, so they make a lot of sense. And obviously you've got the reference to the light grey on this with the rocks that are along here on this one. This one doesn't have a brick-built door, unlike the Motorized Lighthouse as well. Minifigure-wise, they've both got some really good minifigures, but this one comes with 4 and this one only comes with 2. However, I think the minifigures you get in this set are actually better than the ones in this one. Here's the minifigures from the two sets, but wait a minute, you might have realised this one has only got 1. That's because this one I have left hanging. It doesn't look very safe, but it's something you can do. You can have your minifigure hanging off the edge. So yes, here's a look at all of the minifigures. These are the 2 minifigures that you get with Motorized Lighthouse. You get a lighthouse keeper, and then you get a female character, which could either be the lighthouse keeper's wife, sister, aunt, or whatever you want it to be. And I think her figure is slightly better than his one, because I really like the hat on it, as well as the dual molded legs. And just the colours of the dark green look really cool here. The Lighthouse Keeper is also really good though. I really like his hat design, and also he has a printed sort of a printed pocket watch that is in his pocket. So I think that's really cool as well. And that looks really nice. And you also get this as well, which represents a telescope. Although they should have put a lens in it of some sort. I like his face print, and it's got like a beard on it, and it looks really good. It looks quite happy. You don't get an alternative face though, and the back of the whole figure is pretty plain overall. This one doesn't have an alternative face either, and it doesn't have much detail on the back, but you can see the dual molded legs continue around the back, of course. But yeah, it's got a really cool, nice torso as well. And then, like I said, you get a kitten. Here's the grey kitten a bit closer up. I just love the face on it. I just think it looks really good, and it's just so small. And then you can compare that to the cat that you get in the old fishing store, which is a normal sized cat in orange, and it has little markings on it, and obviously it's bigger, and you can see the size difference between the two cats. So yeah, and then the fishing store minifigures include this boy one, which I quite like. He's quite a good one. He comes with a life jacket, which is pretty cool, and even shows a hood on the back of there. It's got an alternative face. It's got a nice white cap as well, which is quite good. And his face is simple, but it does work. Still, it's quite good. And then you get this one, which has dual molded legs. It's a woman one. I'm guessing it's a shopkeeper or something for the bait shop. And it has loads and loads of pockets on the jacket, which I really like. And like hooks and things and different details. And yeah, the dual molded legs have green on, which is cool. The face looks really nice, and the hair looks really good as well in that reddish brown colour. And even the back has some nice detailing and like lines and things. So that's quite a good figure. And then this one you get the another lighthouse. Well, he looks like the lighthouse keeper to me in a lot of ways, but he's obviously the fishing store manager or whatever, and he has a more drastic beard than the other figure. As you can see there, his beard is a lot more crazy. But yeah, none of these figures seem to have alternative faces on them, on either of the two sets. And this one comes with a mug, of course, and he's got a pretty cool jumper there, but it's not as interesting as perhaps his outfit. But yeah, and you get a white hat instead of the blue one. And then the last figure you get in the old fishing store is you get this guy, which has this basic grey cap, hat, whatever, and then he's got like a sort of a I don't know what it's called, boiler suit or whatever you want to call it on, and it's got a zip across, which looks really nice as well, and buckles on it. And then yeah, he's got a decent face print as well, and more dual molded legs with black on. So both sets have pretty good minifigures, but like I say, I think even though the Lighthouse only has two, I think the two you get in that are actually better than the four from the old fishing store. But the cat, I think, in the old fishing store is cooler. It's a shame that you only get one seagull in the Motorized Lighthouse, but yet you get three in the old fishing store, and yet this set is a lot more expensive and has basically the same piece count. Because like I said, the old fishing store has 2,049 pieces, whereas the Motorized Lighthouse has 2,065 pieces. So there's basically only like 18. There's only basically 16 pieces in it. So it seems very strange, and also the piece count. Although I should say the piece count isn't necessarily a true factor of the value of the set, because obviously this one has the power functions and it has the really large rock pieces in, whereas this set doesn't, has more small pieces. But that being said, you do get more minifigs, more seagulls, more other animals, because you even get like fish in this one, and you get a lobster and different things, and you get a lot of minifigure accessories in this one. But this one, yeah, obviously the power functions does put the price up a lot, because power functions can cost like 60 quid sometimes just for a battery box or something crazy. So that's why. But it is still a lot to take in, that the old fishing store has the same piece count, and yet That set when it was available was £139, whereas the Motorized Lighthouse is £259. So it's like more than twice as much. And that's not just because of power functions or the pieces, that's to do with the inflation of Lego and everything at the moment. But yeah, it's still crazy to me. If I was to recommend one of these two sets, I would still recommend the Old Fishing Store because I still say it's slightly more interesting of a build. It has more colours and it looks better on a shelf, and also I just think it looks more run down and rustic like you'd expect for a beach set. I love how random the tiles are on top of it and how it's even got exposed studs. Actually kind of works for this case scenario. Although I'd say Aurora Point does look slightly more of the mature set, but it is quite a stretch to think that the Old Fishing Store was rated at a 12 plus age, whereas this one is an 18 plus age. It just shows how much LEGO have changed how they rate their sets by age. I'd also say the Old Fishing Store is a bit more modular compatible than the Motorized Lighthouse because of the gaps around the edge for the sand, and also because the roof is more modular because you can take off this entire section quite easily. It doesn't actually attach, but you can take it off, and if you do that you can look inside and see a lot more detail in there, and you can see the cash register, you can see all the equipment and everything. You can also remove this section if you wish, which gives you a little look of the small tiny details that are inside of there. And there's actually a ladder that comes up to here. You can also remove this section on the Old Fishing Store, and you can have a look in there as well and see a little chair and a little desk. Even though the power functions in the Motorized Lighthouse are really expensive, and you could argue it would have been a lot more cost effective and more popular of the set if they was to remove the power functions and had you buy them separate, because this would have made the set probably half the price. But that being said, I still think that the option to have power functions is a good idea, even though I do actually support the idea of having them separate for people who don't want to have to pay for them. But it does look really good when you turn the light on and you can actually see the light rotate. And the way you build the power functions up is really clever as well. It's amazing how inside this whole wall you have a massive axle Technic piece that goes all the way up to the top that can make the light spin, because the motor is obviously right down in the base where the rocks are, and it's actually really well hidden as well inside the rocks. It's quite noisy, the power functions in this set, but although the rocks inside of the rocks that hide the motor obviously do muffle some of the sound, I suppose, compared to when you first turn the motor on. I do like how they use this tube element to go all the way around to make a railing which can hold them in, and you can actually put minifigures inside this bit so they can overlook, which is really cool in my opinion as well, although it's a little bit tight. Yeah, building the garage door element was really clever, and I like how it actually completely attaches the whole way around. And the light is quite bright, and it points directly like in a beam because it uses a Fresnel lens, which is what they use in real lighthouses. And Lego trialled a lot of different designs of lens before they could get exactly how they wanted. This section of it is using a sword piece, and that actually makes the set a little bit taller, but you could easily remove that if you wanted to make the set slightly shorter, as it is very tall and could be difficult to display in some places. Overall, I'd say both these sets are two of LEGO's best sets they've ever done, and I think this set is underrated, whereas this set is pretty popular in general anyway. But this set I think is held back a lot by the price of it, and I think if it was a cheaper set, people would rate this set a lot higher than they do. And I do agree that it's vastly overpriced if you get it at the full price, although it is a good idea to save up VIP points to try and save money on it. But yeah, like I say, I think if they'd include the option to have it with or without power functions, so people who didn't want it could buy it, it may be worth it for a lot of people. And both sets look good together, and they go well with other beach style sets such as Pirates of Barracuda Bay, which is also one of LEGO's best idea sets to me. And I think all three of them are great for making beach scenes. I do quite like the fact that the boat that comes with the Motorized Lighthouse can actually dock up with this walkway, and it has a chain on there that looks like it lines up perfectly with one of these pillars. And that just makes really good use of the space because you don't have to take up more room on a shelf by having the boat separate to the base plate, because it fits perfectly in this section. And I think there's more Lego sets where they should do that, because a lot of Lego sets, even if they're a massive set, they don't have it so you can fit all the little sections on a base plate. You have to have them plonked somewhere else randomly, and I don't think it works as good when they do that. There's another look inside the boat as well. You do get a little bucket there, and you get a little compass as well. And obviously you get 2 oars so you can actually steer the boat. Overall, I can't fault the set too much, apart from the price. And I do also like the fact that they've included this dark blue base plate, which is a brand new colour for a base plate in Lego. I wish they would use this colour in more Lego sets because I think it looks really good. Although I would say the tan is slightly better for the theme of the sets. But obviously for a lighthouse, it's supposed to be more out in the water quite often, although not all lighthouses are. And just the do's in these slopes was really fun to do on these rocks, but I do think it would have been better if they hadn't had so many exposed studs here and here where they've just got nothing. I think they should have actually had these slopes on all of these bumpy bits so that you wouldn't see any of them. Adding the transparent tiles and cheese slopes onto this was actually really enjoyable to me. I just like putting down transparent elements in sets. I don't know why, but there's something very satisfying about doing it. That's why I really like sets like Ninjago City, and Ninjago City Docks, and Ninjago City Gardens, and the Spring Lantern Festival, because they do that sort of thing, but they use trans blue instead of normal transparent colour. It's interesting they didn't go for trans blue in this set, but I'm actually quite glad they didn't, because I think the normal transparent actually works well here. I'd say another downside of the set is that the boat is a bit too tight when putting it here, which is a shame because this is a good place to have it up against a rock so a person could be escaping from the waters to go into the rock, but I think it is just slightly too tight to fit the boat. It almost fits perfectly, but not quite. If you have this set against a white wall or a white shelf, obviously it won't show up as well as some other sets like the old fishing store. And that is the last thing I'd like to say about this set that I don't like so much. But but that is more personal to me having white shelves. Another thing that I do quite like is the little banister that helps you get up the stairs. I think that's really fun and just simple but works really well. And other little details like this light lantern above the door are also cool. The construction of this small house bit I think is actually more enjoyable than the construction of the main tall lighthouse section, as I thought the tall lighthouse section was quite repetitive. But it's up to you if you think that's a good thing or not, because some people like repetitive builds where other people find it boring. But anyway, they're just my thoughts on this set. There's not really anything else that needs to be said on it. I hope you've enjoyed this video and this small comparison with the old fishing store as well. And I hope you come back for more videos. You feel free to like and subscribe and share for more videos. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.